All right. Okay, good evening, and to people for joining us from Africa. Also, good morning from from down under here, Australia. Of course, I want to say good evening to or good afternoon to other people as well. Wherever you're joining us from, this is the Africa Disciplined Agile Meetup, where we try to bring value to the table every time we meet. Today we have a good discussion that is going to be taking place, and I am very hopeful that it's going to be a good one. But before we go straight into our discussion today, I would like to really lay some foundation and also start with why. Now, I've always been saying this, and I'll say it again. This is just a group put together to promote the real value of lean and agile practices and also good practices in the world of project management. The focus is on Africa and organizations in Africa so that they go ahead and develop their agile and lean practices within their teams, organizations, or even individually. So what we've been doing is we've been using all the practices that we know, the skills that we know, especially the practical tips that we know. And we have, you know, uh, very senior and leaders in the agile and project management world who are predominantly Africans that we bring to the table to discuss and to share their ideas. And I stress that because we have a lot of capabilities within the continent, and we have a lot of people all around the world. My mission is to bring everybody together so that we can begin to share ideas and have alignment and bring each other's up. So this is a good opportunity for people who are willing to, understand a few things, to ask the question to leaders who have led the way, or people who want to improve their practices to also ask the question. It's a good place to network as well. So let's see how today goes. But before we introduce today, I also want to stress the fact that this is brought to you by Pitt Lauren Consulting. We are an unauthorized training partner, anything around PMI. Now, if you're paying for your PMP, paying for your CAPM, please contact us. And we just went through a refresh of the program that we run, which means it's even easier. So watch out for very good deals for this group, for the African continent as a whole. So that will come your way very, very soon. All right, today, who do we have today? Today, we have a consortium of very senior people who we have put together. It's more like a menu that we put on your table to say, pick what you want, right? These guys are my go-to people and some other people on the call right now. Like I said, I won't let them off the hook, so we might call on some of the people on camera to to help us today. Now, I've got Yannick on the panel today. I've got Pamela and I've got Patrick. Those are three of the of my go-to people when I need to pick their brain. I'll quickly, maybe in one or two sentences, introduce them, and then we can go straight into the discussion today. So today is all about ask me anything, right? Anything about your practice, anything about the world of Agile, anything about project management that you want to ask questions on. I have a very strong belief that this panel can answer those questions based on the wealth of experience. At the end of the day, it's having a very, very good discussion, quality discussion as well, and potentially solutions to the pain points that you currently have, solutions to the problems that you're facing on your job. Please don't hold anything back, because if you ask a question, there is a potential that there's someone also on the call that is going through a similar challenge. So start pushing everything here now. I'll be monitoring the chat box for your questions, so that I can echo it out to the panel. So let it continue to come. While I do that, I also want to introduce Yannick, for example. Yannick is the immediate past president of PMI Canberra, and he has over 25 years of experience. Like I said, he's worked at different levels. He's worked with the C-level executives and also the program level, of course, with teams. He has also worked across different continents of the world. He currently resides in Australia, where I also stay. Pamela is a leadership facilitator, is a business agility coach, is a digital and cultural transformation executive as well. Well, she's not new to these team. She's always been here, and you know the value that she definitely can bring. So anything about agile consulting, anything about project management, program management, anything around transformation, please don't hold it back. Pamela can help us with that. And of course, what can I say about Patrick? Patrick is an accomplished agile consultant and transformation change agent. He has a very, very rich and diverse background in IT and other areas of business agility as well. Of course, in terms of the trade, anything about project management, discipline agile, it brings value to the table. So I've just tried to paraphrase these in one or two sentences, because if I go ahead and really read what we have here, we might be here for the next 15 minutes. But I just want to shift the focus on you guys that have joined the meeting today, because it is your meeting. Ask the questions away, and then we can go through that. Maybe before we do that, in the order that I introduced you, Yannick, Pamela, and Patrick, can you say just one word, a few words, I mean, and then we can go straight into, start with the questions that were sent in earlier on, and of course, we'll start the program. Over to you, Yannick.
Thanks, Pete. Hi, guys. I'm very happy to be here with you tonight, and I hope I should be able to help you and provide valuable insight into the world of Agile that you can use on your daily work from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thanks, Yannick. Hi, everyone. It's for me, it's always a privilege to be able to sit amongst a panel of distinguished agilists. That's including everyone here. I do not promise to have all the answers, but one thing I know is that Agile is ever evolving. So come with your questions and let's just reason about it together. Let's talk about it. Nothing is out of limit. So just bring on the questions and we will discuss it.
All right, beautiful.
And
Right,
I guess I'm Patrick. I am just a student of Agile, student of project management, and I firmly believe in conversations. I think I get smarter every time I speak with people or get asked a question and provide an answer if I can. Can only do the best we can in the conversation. So glad to be here.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So what I'll do right now is just to get us going, if you can jump on the chat and tell us where you're joining us from, that will be good as well. At least that will exercise your fingers to know that we can definitely start sharing question as well. Now, no question is too big, no question is too small to share. And what I'll do is, like I said, a couple of people have sent me some questions earlier on. I will start with those ones while we wait for other questions to come. All right, Shagun, thank you so much for coming. Always nice to see you as well, Shegun Fatoki. Timmy from Nigeria as well. You're welcome on board. Now, so the first question that I have here, let's start with that. This is saying, I have a team that struggle with long stand-ups. They go ahead to be unproductive at times. How do I change the narrative and conduct an effective daily stand-up meeting? This is one question that has come in, so maybe we can start with that. Is it one of the generic questions that we see almost every time? So, and I think it's a very simple way to launch into today's discussion. Who would like to start?
Okay, I'm happy to.
Ladies first.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. I'm happy to take that one. Daily stand-ups, like any meeting, there's always the risk of not understanding what the purpose is. So firstly, you have to understand what the purpose of the Scrum events are. And daily stand-up or daily Scrum is one of them. What is the purpose of the daily Scrum? That's the first thing you need to understand and explain to your team. And usually it's time boxed at 15 minutes. So as the Scrum Master, whoever is asking that question, firstly, are you the Scrum Master? Or is it just that, it's free for all? So firstly, your role as the Scrum Master is to be able to help time box, number one. And number two, I think if you have a focus for what a clear understanding of what the daily stand-up is for or the daily Scrum is for, which is a meeting of the developers for the developers by the developers. And when I say developers there, I'm not talking about necessarily people that code. Everybody that works within a Scrum context is classed as the development team. So it's really important. And maybe as you're starting off, maybe having an agenda would help as a guide. So one of the things I would always advocate for is, first and foremost, you start your daily your daily Scrum. Give a quick 1 minute introduction as to what the purpose of the Scrum meeting is for, why you're having it, and just time box. Time box, time box, and time box. And as time goes on, I mean, it's all about continuous improvement, isn't it? So
Yep.
you might overshoot your time in one day, but the next day you just have to be very, very aware of the fact that having a 1 hour stand up that's no longer a stand up. It's a sit down kind of situation. So I don't know if Yannick or Patrick would like to add to it.
Yes, thank you, Pamela. Happy to add with that and just echoing what you just said before. So I've seen that a lot on some of the projects that I go and help. So one of the root cause that I see is that sometimes we don't respect the number of people in a sprint team. So I've seen stand up with 60 people. So when you start to have a large group, and then you will see half of a team on their phone, trying to go on Facebook where only 1 or 2% are talking. So keeping the team really small, 10 people, is one of a good start. The second start, as you mentioned as well, is people don't know the purpose. So how do you solve that? Is that we need to have what we call ground rules. So we set the ground rules, and then that should be on a big poster in an area, in an open area where all the team can really see. So the third reason why I've seen that is that people try to show off. So one person will come and say, I've done this, this, this. And the other person now go and say, oh, I've done 10 things. And then the other one go and say 15 things, which is not really relevant for what we are talking about. It's not really to come and see who's done more work yesterday or try to invent things to make it longer. So that's some of our root cause that I've seen. So it's, as Pamela mentioned, it is for sharing so that everyone is in sync. So what have we done yesterday? What are we going to do today? And what are the blockers? So as simple as that. So that's what I want to add.
Yes, I'm in agreement with that. Basically, just go back over your ground rules. You may even have to have a meeting just to, have that talk with everybody that these are the ground rules. And if there are 10 of you, maybe everybody gets a minute. If you don't, get what you have to say through in a minute, then we would have to figure out a different way to create, maybe some time at the end of it. But you have to establish those rules and have strict conversations. Another thing is to have that agenda up early, and sometimes actually to send out questions that are relevant to whatever you're about to do, and have people, if they need to, have enough time to think of their answers. So some people end up speaking longer just because they're trying to think of a response. But if they have a heads up on what to think about, the response flows out quicker, especially when they realize they have a time limit to get it done.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Like I said earlier on when I was reading out the question, this is very common, and also people ask that questions as well. And Pamela did mention something about, are you really the Scrum Master? Well, this came from a Scrum Master actually. And so young Scrum Master new into the trade, grapple with this issue. And of course, whether we like it or not, some of us have gone through it again before, and then we have had opportunities to refine and help things out. Ground rules, like what Yannick mentions, is very, very important as well to know what did we agree on and how to deal with those things. And of course, someone mentioned bad smells that we can see when you begin to see that someone is talking about 10, 20, 50 things, then it is no more a stand up, because the idea of a stand up is go straight into the discussion, lightweight, big bang on that 15 minutes and get out of it. So let's watch out for that. There are other opportunities that we have to definitely improve our stand-up, and time boxing, most importantly, time boxing of the meeting. It is very, very important. All right, I'll go on to Shegun sends a question into the chat box. So just to recap, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send them in. You can also raise your hand. I'm watching everyone. If you really want to vocalize it, we can unmute you so that you can ask your question verbally if you really want to add a few insight to your question so that we understand it. Because if we understand the question, we will definitely be able to provide a contextualized answer for you. Now, we'll go to Shegun's question before we go on to some of the questions that were sent in earlier on, if there are no questions in the chat box. Shegun is asking a question around manufacturing environment. How can we adopt Agile or Scrum in a manufacturing environment or a non-IT environment? That is Shegun's question. All right. So can I just say can we start from Yannick this time around, if that's okay?
Yeah, so sure. So thank you. Great question. So I do get that a lot. And some of the work that I've done as well are for teams that are not IT or on the business. So in that situation, what I tend to do is you go back to the manifesto. So the manifesto, what it tells you is that individuals' interactions over process and tool, which means any area that you are. So let's first look at the team. So by looking at the team, let's communicate properly and interact. So try to fix the interactions so that people don't work in silo. So that's one. The second is that working software over comprehensive documentation. So what we want to do is that if we're not developing software, what are we delivering? So let's measure our success, our progress on what we are supposed to deliver over doing other things that's not really essential. So that's the second. And then the third one is customer collaboration. So again, who are the customers, who are the stakeholders, so identify them and let's collaborate. Have a plan and understand how do we collaborate. So face-to-face is very recommended, but if we have other means that make sure that everyone is on the same page, so that's good. And then also responding to change. So understand in building construction, so sometimes you need to do the design, but what can we do now so that we can show progress? So what I've seen especially in large program of work, is when we look at a 3-year project, what the team start to do is they think, so it's very far, there's a long time, so you have a lot of slack. And then when you get towards the end to release, this is where there will be a lot of overtime. So, and when you start to have a lot of overtime, people get tired, people get cranky, and the quality as well reduces. So what we want to try to do is keep it at the same pace all the time. Let's start to break the work into some chunks so that we keep the pace over the lifetime of a project. So this way we can measure the quality, we can measure the velocity, and then also work-life balance for the people as well. So you have a better turnover of people. So otherwise people start to leave because they're stressed, because the culture become what we call toxic in the organization. So this is what I want to add.
Thank you. Yeah, those are valid points. Patrick, do you have anything to add on that one? How can we, how can we adopt the Agile practice or Scrum in a non-IT environment or manufacturing environment, actually?
Yeah, I mean, most of your focus would actually be on the people, because most of the processes in manufacturing can be automated. They're more of a waterfall approach to things, so you're dealing more with the people. So all you have to do is basically look at where the people interact with the processes, and then focus more on where you can apply Agile to that. I mean, even if it means just a case of even your stand-up, they come in and they can tell you, you know what, at least lay out your problem into, a minute, tell us what we do with the whole thing again, where are your obstacles, how can you get help? So it can be applied to those things, more focused on the people than on the process, the automated processes you'll get with the, machines and stuff. So, it's just a case of studying where the people interact within the process, and you can apply most of the Agile principles to that.
Yeah, and that's quite important as well. And just before we go on, Segun just added a couple of insights to the question, and we can really dwell a little bit more on this. So, it talks about process here. In most manufacturing environment, processes and compliance is non-negotiable. So, an initiative that is capable of saving millions of euro was turned down because of non-compliance. Things are difficult in such environment. I agree with you. I have had a few things as well. Once our panel speaks, so that I can have my own experience as well. But before that, Pamela, based on the question that Segun asked, and also the little insight he has added in terms of his experience in in rework or turning down a millions of dollars worth of, or millions of euros worth of project. What can you say? How can we adopt Agile in a manufacturing environment?
Okay, that's a very interesting question and a really good one as well, because Scrum does not thrive in all environments, to be very honest. And if you look at, I don't know if you've heard of the Knifen framework. So if you look at Knifen, or understand what Knifen is talking about, you're talking about Scrum. The best of Scrum can be seen when it's in a complex environment, right? And not all projects or all programs will fall within that complex environment. A lot of manufacturing falls within either, complicated, it can be complicated. So usually within manufacturing, you know exactly what needs to be done. So it's more of like in a waterfall environment. But that is not to say that we cannot introduce lean thinking. That is not to say that we cannot introduce continuous improvement. So it's for me, it's about looking at where you can improve your processes. And I think it was Patrick that talked about automation, where you can actually automate some of the processes, where you can actually remove some waste, looking at it holistically, looking at the system from an end-to-end perspective, and looking at the delivery as a whole. And also with Scrum literally helps people to deliver value incrementally and collaboratively. And I think Yannick did mention looking at, the individuals as well, and how we can collaborate and work together in order to be able to, unblock the system and work in a very cohesive manner. So it can work within a manufacturing environment, but it comes with a lot of caveats. And as I said, looking at it from a strictly Knifen framework perspective, I think it's best manufacturing would not thrive very well using the Scrum process, because Scrum has a lot of has its do's and don'ts for it to work, and a lot of it within the manufacturing processes might not work. It might not fall within the Scrum practice processes. But that's not to say that we cannot introduce some of those practices in order to be able to help us to deliver our projects. I hope that makes sense to that person, whoever asked that question.
Yeah, that's Shegun. That's Shegun. I think you've nailed it. All of you have nailed it. I think there are more to it as well. Like I said, like Pamela said, one size doesn't fit all. Your environment will dictate your solution to your environment. But what I would like to add to what has been said, it's not to add more information, right? What I would really like to add is just to show you a few books that you might want to get. This book, right, the goal, it's really about theory of constraints, which is also a way of working under the big umbrella of Agile. So if you, Shegun, if you can get this one, lay your hands on this book, that is going to be very good. I can send a link into the chat box as well. By the same author, we sort of have the choice as well, right? This is a theory of constraint, and you can see how things are happening within your system, especially manufacturing environment, and you can work on it. The good thing about these books is they are easy to read. They are in story format. It's more like a novel, which means you pick it up. You don't want to put it down until you finish. I don't read novels, but for this one, I was really captivated by it. So I believe you will do well today. So Shegun, let's talk about that later on, and then we can do justice to that. All right, cool. So let me see. There are a couple of comments in the chat again as well. Let me even see. Ongo Africa is saying post-COVID, we have seen more organizations adopt flexible working options, but this has led to so many virtual meetings in most organizations. Okay, that's actually another question. I'll get to that very soon. Idris says Scrum works in complex environment where there are many unknowns. Okay, cool. That is fine. And of course, Pamela just sent in I think this is a Lean Sigma stuff, which is a Toyota production system TPS model. Thank you so much for that link. Now, let me just do something in maybe 1-2 minutes. I don't know if Mary has something to add to that one, or we can just go ahead, or even Femi, if you want to quickly do that.
I didn't hear the question. I was bumped out. I had problems with my laptop. So maybe for the next, I'll contribute to the next question.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much. Femi,
nothing in addition for me. The conversation that you've shared is very explicit enough. Thank you.
Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and answer Ongu's question. However, I just want to stress the fact that it's uncommon to find our African brothers and sisters on a call like this. If you are facing anything at work relating to the world of work, process, project management, agile ways of working, feel free to answer those questions. Even if we can't get to the questions today, we'll find another forum to answer those questions, because it's quite important to make things lean for ourselves, and lack of waste for ourselves in the way we work, because that's where our experience comes in as agile practitioners or project management professionals. So don't hold back. Let's go to the next question, which is in the chat box. This says, after COVID, post-COVID, we have seen more organizations adopt flexible working options, but this has led to many virtual meetings in most organizations. How can we ensure a balance with more face-to-face interactions?
Mm.
Wow, this is a million-dollar question, and this is a very good question anyway, because now is in the world where we live now is where organizations are now clamoring for a 3-day walk or 2 days walk. People should not be online all the while, and it's coming back. So there is a balance that we are aiming for. This is a very good question. So the question is to us here. How can we ensure a balance with more face-to-face interactions rather than people that stay behind the camera? Well, a caveat to that
Actually,
is in a global village anyway. So, Patrick, you want to start on that one?
I mean, the first question is evaluate the value you get from that flexibility, right? You just hit on the one very good point. Expands your labor pool due to availability of different locations, right? Now, I guess what does face-to-face really do, right? Study body chemistry, chit chat. I mean, it's all evaluation. What's the value that comes out from these interactions? If you're getting max value from virtual interactions, then maybe the only downside is that you may have too many virtual meetings. So you limit them, and you could do that by, your other information boards and visual boards that people have, so they can go get all the information they need rather than have to get together to talk about it. But what COVID did was that it showed that being together lumped up in one place doesn't necessarily make you more productive, or less productive in a way too. It had its benefits. So how do you balance this out? You just have to figure out if there's some area where we're beginning to lose value because people are not gathered together, then by God's grace, find a way to handle that piece of it. But if you're able to pick up a good talent pool that is virtual and in various locations, and productivity is good, why mess with a good thing? Look at how many companies are going through that problem of trying to get workers back, and then you're actually losing good talent because they're like, you know what, I don't have to deal with this. Why do I have to go ride the train, waste hours? So yeah, it's a balance. It opened up a new frontier. Make the best of that frontier you can. But sometimes, come on. Sometimes I feel physical collocation at times, it leads to a lot of wasted time. Cooler talk about the game. By the time you find out, by the time you're walking by the cube, you're stopping down there, you're talking about something, hey, but it's also good because you're having some social interaction with each other, you're building a bond and stuff. So, in a way, it's based on where your value is, because sometimes you have the guy who just, wants to put his head down, and he gets that by not having people around him. So how do you, it's all about value. That's it.
Value. We can reiterate that again and again and again. It's about the value. What value do you get from having your virtual meetings? Can you have a similar value when you have the face-to-face interactions? You just need to weigh it. Well, that's a good one. Pamela, what do you think?
I think when it comes to there is no right or wrong answer when it comes to flexible working, because there is value in co-collaborating and being in the same space, and there's also value in being able to work flexibly and being virtual and everything. It's just being able to find that right balance. Because the one thing co-location does is you're able to share ideas more easily. You're able to be there. The cooler talk you're talking about, Patrick, sometimes it becomes very, very vital and very, very important, most especially if you're trying to get someone's time that has not been available. lunchtime might be a very good time to approach somebody. You understand? So there is a there is value in adopting flexible working. I think gone are the days where we would ever get back to working 5 days a week, 5 days in the office, right? And I think a lot of personality types have a lot to do with and influences our preferences for either working completely online or in the office. But I think we have to get to the point where we, as organizations, because organizations have to be able to, we've basically hired a lot of these buildings and they need to be able to pay for the buildings, and people need to be able to come into the office because there is also an economic impact it's having by people not being present in the office. So that you have to weigh the pros and cons of flexible working, because yes, it has opened up the talent pool. You can get people from all over the world and all that, but also at the same time, there is value in people coming together face to face, swarming over a particular problem and coming up with a solution. So when it comes to leading virtual meetings, you have different things you can do to make it more interactive, to make it so that you don't get Zoom fatigue, because Zoom fatigue is a real thing. And a lot of people suffered Zoom fatigue after staying at home for over a year. And you have people as well that are probably extroverted people that were going stir crazy by just staring down their computer. So there is, as I said, there is, and when the Scrum Guide was written, it was written at a point where face-to-face interaction was all we had and all we knew. So COVID has been able to prove that we can actually function within that space, but not exclusively, from my experience, to be very honest. And post-COVID, yes, we have adopted flexible working. And as a group, I think having a working agreement, within your teams as to how you're going to interact in a flexible environment, especially across multiple time zones, is really, really important. I think that's one of the ways in which you can begin to combat some of the time zone issues. Communication is really, really important. But post-COVID, flexible working is here to stay. In my organization, we do 3 days in the office and 2 days anywhere. So that sort of like compensates for people that do not necessarily want to come into the office 5 days a week. But it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I don't think any organization will mandate anyone to come into the office 5 days anymore, to be very honest.
Yeah, I've had a bank around here, where in down under, asking their employees to come in full time to work. Of course, a lot of complaints. Like Patrick did mention, a couple of people decide to walk away and stuff like that. So we can say that I think that has actually revolutionized how the world of work is at the moment. Yannick, I'm curious. Is there anything you want to add to that, or what's your take on this?
Yes, definitely. So I think to summarize what you guys have said, so I think, yeah, going back to the manifesto, the 7th principle mentioned face-to-face conversation. This is the best form of communication. But now we need to understand that this was written 20 years ago, the manifesto. So Zoom did not exist, Microsoft Teams did not exist. So when we look at COVID, I remember before COVID, I don't think we could have had a meeting like we are having now before COVID, where the quality, like the sound quality, is amazing, and the image quality, and also the reliability of the technology. We can see every one of us is from different places around the world and different time zone, and we can talk. So the advancement of technology since COVID has been amazing. So we've got the technology to be able to collaborate. But now also it's very important to understand what is the advantage of having face-to-face. So I was reading an article, I think last year or some time ago, and it mentioned tacit knowledge, which is knowledge that we know, but it's not written down in an organization. And that forms part of 70% of the knowledge in your organization is tacit. And by being together, people are talking, you pick up on this tacit knowledge, which is very valuable. So this was one of the big advantage of having face-to-face. But now when you look again with advancement with technology, with Teams channels, so where people can put in some information at any time using your phone. So even if you're out at lunch, so you can see messages pop up. So we can share this tacit knowledge of what is happening, and sharing of knowledge as well. There's been a big evolution. So we also have a new jargon called knowledge nuggets, where executives can share just small snippet of information. Did you know about that? And we've got also the new templates in SharePoint, in Internet Explorer, where when you start your browser, you get a whole bunch of information from the whole enterprise. So what we need to do is leverage the technology that is out there now, and also look at all the different channels that we have available for us on your phone, on your iPad, on your laptop, and I think the watch as well. You can get information so that we can maximize the knowledge that we can share amongst each other and continue to collaborate. So, and as Patrick mentioned, so we've got really good people that can be overseas or in different locations around the world. So that open up more opportunities for an organization to get the best people around the world, rather having someone who's just in your area. So I think the advantage, we really need to embrace the advantage that this provides us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing here is it depends on the environment a lot in terms of, whether we really want to reduce the number of virtual meetings or whether we want to go 100% face-to-face or ensure a balance. That's the question. Ensure a balance between the virtual meetings and interaction. We have
And also, so yeah, just to add another bit. So what I've seen that is that this is a culture issue. So when you have executives that have been used so most of their life to have people in front of them, when I call someone, he need to be here. But we need to look at the future. The future, we call it digital natives. So the new generation that are born with iPhone, and these people will not want to be in the office 5 days. So that's not going to happen. So there is a shift in this is an issue with a generation gap as well. So we've got countries like, I think, Greece or Italy, they are having new visa for people who are digital people who can go and live there but work. So there's a shift happening. So it's a bandwagon that's starting to move. So we need to jump on it. Otherwise, your organization will stay behind and it won't be good.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, so let me just circle back to Ongo if this discussion has added some insight to your environment and also your question as well. Hopefully that has added a few things. But if you really want to add anything, just put in the chat. I'll echo it out. There is a comment from Shegun around that in terms of the efficacy of virtual interaction. I was talking about a class he just had where it seems that he was co-located with a trainer, even though it was really, really virtual. So again, the capability of the people in handling facilitation skills comes through in virtual meeting, just like we have mentioned earlier on, all of us are from different part of the world, different continents, to be honest. I'm joining from Australia. Pamela is in the UK. We have people from Nigeria, from the UK, and we are all here as if we are in the same room. So we can always piggyback on this advancement in technology and see how we have done. All right, cool. Pamela, I see that you have added a comment in that. Okay, yeah. So just to really call out a few people, not call out, but mention a few people that have joined us. For example, Andrea, I can see you from Bahamas. Shegun Sanyolu, yeah, from Nigeria. Anyinka Frima is also from Australia here. I can see a couple of people that I just to add to the people I've mentioned earlier on. Thank you really for joining. Okay, cool. Now, one more question from the questions that have been sent earlier on. If there is any other one question that you want to ask, please, yeah, we still have a couple of maybe 10 minutes, but I'll ask this around team collaboration, or what I can call team dynamics. Now, in my organization, team members often work in silos. This hinders collaboration, especially cross-team collaboration. Most of these teams are dependent on each other. So the question is, what are some techniques that we can use to foster better collaboration within the various Agile teams?
Sorry,
That's
can you
a
repeat the
good
question
one.
again?
So the question is, team members work in silo. This hinders collaboration. What are some of the techniques to foster team collaboration within Agile teams, cross-team collaboration?
I mean, if there are a lot of interdependencies between the teams, then you start out with probably a shared backlog. And in some instances, you might actually have a situation where you dedicate or you rotate team members to attend the different scrums. So at least one person from your team is able to listen in on what they're saying. But a shared backlog is usually a good place to start, especially, if there's a lot of dependence on, on your progress being tied to the other team's progress. You have to be able to identify those interdependencies to be able to facilitate some progress, between the teams in terms of attacking, what needs to be done, which is then start rolling into Kanban and all that good sweet stuff. But I'm not that smart yet. I'm growing.
If the person that asked the question is the person on.
I am not sure whether the
Oh,
person is
okay.
on here. This is a question that has been sent to me earlier on. So
All right, okay.
yeah, they capture the
Okay. Because I think for me, firstly, I would find out why do we have so many dependencies, and and why the working in silos, because it could be for a number of reasons. For me, probably find out the root cause of why we have so many dependencies and why we're actually working in silos, because the whole idea of working in a Scrum team is that it's cross-functional, isn't it? And it's collaborative. So first and foremost, find out why the team is not cross-functional if you're working within a Scrum context, because the whole idea is for you to be able to have all the people that need to create value for that product within the same team. So that first and foremost will break a lot of the dependencies that whoever that person is may be experiencing, sorry, in terms of, and that would lead to, definitely you would have a single backlog. So it's a very loaded question that I need to probe further to be able to
I'm
understand
thinking,
what the problem is.
yeah, I'm thinking it's more like a program of work that is working, they're working on, and there are different teams that are doing different part, but eventually there will be a kind of rollback to form this big work of work. I think that's where the question is coming from. Fortunately, we don't know. This is one of the questions that we sent earlier on.
Yeah, I tend to see that quite often. So in different organizations, when we have an infrastructure team, and then you have a project team, we need to build some servers, and we try to reach out to the infrastructure team to build my server. So some of our root cause are each of these different teams, they report to different exec, and each of these exec, they have different priorities. And very often as well, you can have conflict among these exec. So to fix it, so what needs to happen is that from a very top level, we really need to understand the vision. What is the vision of our organization? Where are we going in the next 5 years? And what are the strategies that we need to have to achieve this vision? And then from there, we structure ourselves so that all of our priorities, so all these different teams, is aligned. So we call that so that people are in the same cadence. So otherwise, one team is refreshing the infrastructure because this is their priority. Project team is building their new product, and then now there's a problem because when you start to go to get your servers, you can't get it in time. The project is delayed, and then the business as well, they are dealing with other business issues. So in safe, this is why in safe they solve that problem. So they call it the walls of confusion, where you have different teams that are doing different things, and to share information. So write a big document, log a ticket, put it there. We look at it when we can, but in Scale Agile framework, this when we look at the PI. Okay, in the next 3 months, what do we need to deliver? Bring everyone in the same room. This is the priority. We all work together. So it's a shift in the mindset, and then a shift as well at the highest level for the executive to really define what are the priorities for the organization and align that with the long-term goals. So if we don't have a long-term goals, what happens? Every executive will come and create their own goals, and then everyone gets out of alignment. So this is where I think, as Pamela mentioned, we have waste as well in the system. We start something, we stop, we jump into another program, we build a server, someone is not using it. So yeah, this is what happened.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Yannick has said, because as you were talking, as you were asking the question and everything, SAFE actually did come into mind. And I think it's one of those frameworks that have caused a lot of controversy within the Agile space for whatever reason. But it does have, it has a point to it, which is being able to align strategy. And like most big organizations, when you have like monstrous projects to deliver within a certain time frame, you need different heads always have different priorities at different times. So being able to alignment is really important to be able to bring everyone together under one umbrella to understand what the impediments are, what the what needs to be done, and also what the issues that could possibly arise be. So all that is done within the context of the PI and the PI planning, which is a very massive event. For those that don't know anything about SAFE, we can put like the link in the chat so that you can have a look at it. That is not to say that's the only scaling framework, but that is one of the scaling frameworks that has basically been able to address some of the issues that organizationally we face when it comes to alignment and lack of collaboration and just feeding trying to bring everyone together under one umbrella to understand what the strategic direction is for that period in time. So I hope that addresses some of the questions, but as I said, we can put the link in the chat when it comes to different scaling methods or frameworks, which would be really, really helpful. But the most popular and the one that everyone knows and talks about readily and freely is the SAFE Scaled Agile framework.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for adding to
Yeah,
that.
especially on large projects, very large projects, you have a lot of these issues because you're dependent on maybe other external organization, and you need them to do. So if you're integrating with another organization, it's not their priority to connect your system with their system. And if you need to be procuring your buying infrastructure, you go to the procurement team and they are busy doing something else. Now you need to wait. You need to recruit a massive team and you go to HR. HR is busy. So we've got all these dependency that we need to manage. So yes, so scaling Agile is a good approach to resolve that. So where you have all the executive and they agree that this is the priority that we all need to be working on and we all work together.
Yeah, I can agree with you more. We'll be rounding up very soon. Patrick, do you have anything you want to add to that just before we round up on this question?
No, I mean most of that knowledge has been dropped. Another area that tackles that is within that discipline Agile space, the value stream and all that stuff. There's a lot of technique to handling that messy situation, I would call it. And so that's it.
Yeah. So there are quite a number of ways we can definitely do scaling, right? Especially what we are asking for is just to understand your environment, because that is very important to really make sure that you're actually solving the problem of organizations that you're working for, you're trying to scale. There are so many scaling factors. It is not only the number of people, right? There are a lot of scaling factors. You need to look at the number of people, obviously. You also need to look at the complexity of the system you're working with. You need to look at, how people are more, are they co-located or they are just far apart? All of those things come into play when you're trying to design, when you're designing your scaling. But Mary just said the first rule is don't scale. Right? If you don't need to scale, do not scale, right? Scaling is not about numbers alone. I just need to stress that out. Scaled Agile also fail. However, if you scale it the right way, it is going to work. We will start rounding up, and I just really want to say thank you to everyone here for joining, also particularly to our panelists. However, there are a couple of very important information I want to pass across to us before we leave. Now, it's obvious that we will need to do something like this again sometime in the future. I don't know when. We are going to organize this again, and we'll make it very. We will kind of share the information as early so that we can have more people, and also because we can't actually go through all the questions that have been said earlier on. But I like the fact that we focus on some of the questions that was sent in the chat as well. So you look forward for a conversation like this in the future. Now, before we close in the next few minutes, I just want to really say that we're working on starting, looking at the impact of Agile in the community. It's just more like a survey of the practices and perspectives, both here in Africa and the Bahamas and the Caribbean, I mean. So this is a joint survey between myself and Andrea. We are trying to work on a talk. And so your contribution will definitely be valuable. So what I'm asking is if you can please just do the survey. It should take you between 5 and 10 minutes. Just add your contribution to that. Your feedback will be valuable, and it will lead to the growth and improvement of the Agile communities. Something like this that we are doing. So feel free to add your comments on that. That's just 5 minutes of your time. And more importantly, I also always promise that for those of you that want to maintain your certifications in terms of PDUs, I've got a PDU for us today. This will give you 1 PDU as a matter of joining us today. So feel free to use this PDU and claim it. This is 5512 EE5NU. That is the PDU code for today's session. And you can claim that under the ways of working. What I will say right now is next month, we will definitely come your way again with maybe one of the issues that is in the world of Agile, and we will trash it together. We'll look at it together, just like we always do. But what I'll say is before that, keep swinging, keep being Agile, and we're going to meet in the next 1 month. So particularly, Yannick, I want to say thank you very much. I know it's not easy to wake up quite early. We have to wake up around 4, just like me, to be here. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Patrick, you're far away. You're meant to be looking after something, but for the love of the trade, you still left what you went to be with us for this hour. Thank you so much for supporting. And Pamela, I know it's past bedtime as well for you. And for continuous support, I want to say thank you for joining on this. And all of you are not mightily with your advice and your knowledge. I really do appreciate it. And for a lot of other people on the call, I see you. I say thank you to you. And I just want to leave you with this. We do not have, okay, let me put it another way. We have a lot of competence in the community. We have a lot of competence in the continent of Africa. We just need to use it. Now, for people that are coming up, you have all these people that you can connect with. Please make use of it, because we definitely love to raise, or let me say we rise by raising others as well. So let's continue to work together and everything will be just fine. So till next month when we come your way, I will say thank you everyone, and have a very wonderful evening. If you're joining from Africa, good morning to me and Yannick and every other person joining from down under, and of course, rest of the world, have a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. See you
you,
soon.
everybody.